Yeah, how's it going, David?
Good, man. Good. How's it going with you? I saw you got another client or two.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because I put in all that work from, May, June, July, August with bids. And with the way bids work, they start bidding 6, 8 months out before they're even awarded the job. And then they'll call me. So I've been having people actually call me now and say, hey, we want, give us a proposal. They're asking me now for proposals instead of me going out asking them for proposals. So
Wow.
I think this month coming up is probably going to be, 3 jobs in a month, which for me is amazing. And they're
Yeah.
they're big jobs. And then I just got offered to go to New York to go do a job. And um at first I told them no, it's too far. And they actually told me, well, put a number down that you're comfortable with coming. And I put down kind of lack of better terms, a stupid number. And they agreed. And I was just like, oh, I guess I'm going to New York. So,
Yeah.
things finally have been picking up for me and, moving forward.
Yeah.
And to
Well,
second
I
that, yeah,
remember
I've been
last
working
month.
with Brian as well. And he's been great. The community he has as well is great. Just trying to, use as many people as I can, as many mentors as I can, as much input as I can, more information the better. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. So he's actually the one that turned me on to the Skool Platform. He's the one that told me about it, and I checked it out. And I was like, oh shoot, man, this is exactly what I was looking for. I used to have one a couple years ago for my consulting business, but I didn't have as much control, and the cost was through the roof. So it
Mhm.
just didn't make sense. This platform, I love it absolutely. But yeah, I remember like last month or so, we were talking about like your travel and how you bid out travel and stuff like that. And you know, again, these are things where I keep telling people like, don't don't just value yourself based on what you previously made as a W-2 employee. Value yourself as what you're offering as a service to a company. And we've had that discussion in your industry.
Yeah.
Like if they're waiting on you, they're losing money. So they will gladly pay a premium price for someone that provides quick service and good service. And again, you can keep testing the upper bound, especially as
Yeah.
you get more offers coming in, and just to see where it ends, because like there's no reason not to get your full worth
Mhm.
of what
I,
it is
I
that you
learned
do.
that. This contract that I have in Hyannis working for BMW. I had a BMW, a company that's contracted to do BMW dealerships. They called me and said, hey, we know this is last minute, but we need someone out here. Your name came across our desks. And I asked them how. They said, oh, we had an email from someone in our department. They said to call you. And they said, we know it's last minute. We know what your normal rate is. Just give us the rush rate if you can come out. So I was
Mhm.
able to give them the rush rate, and we have work next week.
Yeah.
So and they accepted it. They were like, great, as long as you're out here. So I've kind of been, I guess, lucky right now that it sounds weird that I don't have a lot of clients that I'm able just to go, yep, I'll be there for you on that date, because that also makes me look good. Because they're like, hey, he's reliable, as I'm building my clientele. They're
Yeah,
like, hey, they're gonna
reliable
say
but
he's
not
reliable, he's
desperate,
on time.
right?
So
Yeah. So like you value your time, so saying that, hey, if you want me out there right away, like that's fine, but there's a rush to it. There's a fee associated with it. And realize that this is how people work. They wait to the last minute to do things. So take advantage of it. Take advantage of their, lack of uh or
planning.
procrastination rather, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, I think back to when you first started on the platform and you first started going and you were 1 week into your sales and you're like, son of a bitch, nobody's calling me back. It's been a week. This is useless. And I'm like, just stick with it, man. Just stick with it. It takes time. It's a numbers game. And now that referral source, right? You got one led to two led to four, like it's starting to grow on its own now too. So it's not just you knocking on doors anymore, right? So you're putting in the work in the front end and you're starting to see it in the back end now.
Yeah, it's like I said in the beginning, I was kind of frustrated. I'm like, wow, no one's calling me back. But in the construction, I'm learning that, it only takes really one person, because now when I'm able to talk to them, I can say, hey, I've done work for Walsh Brothers. I've done work for Suffolk. I've done work for Gilbane. So instead of me just saying, hey, hire me, now I can go, hey, look, these companies have hired me. Let me show you the work I've done for them. So, it took time, but my credibility is now building. So it's easier for me to give, my speech of why you should hire me.
Mhm.
When the biggest construction companies in New England are hiring me, you should do. I'm working with another company in Florida on a Connecticut job on the mall in Hartford, and they got me from, the guy's brother who works at Suffolk, works for this company, and now they're going to hire me. So, I mean, work's coming. I'm just waiting
Yeah.
for, because all my work's not going to be really start until October, November, December, January. So all this work I've been putting in is finally paying off now. So it's kind of
Yeah.
nice.
And just so everybody knows, like Jordan was in a position where he was like, hey, I can either start my own business or not. And he decided to launch it. And his business was in a skill set he already had. So ground penetrating radar. So basically x-raying the ground or the walls in buildings, right? To look for pipes and wires or whatever the case, needed in construction. He just needed one primary piece of equipment, and once he was able to get that purchase, it was just a matter of finding opportunities in sales and learning the pay cycle and learning what people are willing to pay for the service and whatnot. But I mean, it's only been, what was it, June you launched or
I
something? It
started
was
April 25th of this year was technically the day of my, started my LLC, but I really didn't start until about the second week of May. And
May.
yeah, I was going door to door, shaking hands, telling people about me. I probably went to about 200 places, and then I got a call from the town of Mansfield that kind of kicked me off. They were the first people to hire me to go do their water treatment plant. And they weren't even a door I knocked on. I just sent them like a throwaway email, and I probably sent thousands of emails to people, still trying to figure out how to send a proper email for my business. But
But yeah, I mean, Jordan is an awesome success story. Took, it's the W-2 job. I keep telling people, like, there's no guarantees in life with anything. Working for yourself, at least you have some more control, even though it's scarier for most people. They don't know if they can do it. They're comfortable just taking what's given to them. But the sky's the limit when you work for yourself, though. That you're really uncapped.
I feel like if
So
you're not working for yourself, you're somehow working for the billionaires, and I'm done with that.
yeah, I just don't like putting values on people's time. Like, your life is worth $20 an hour, right? Like, that's a terrible thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I have employees. I hire people. I try to pay people very fairly, for whatever the business can sustain. But
they called me, and that kind of, gave me the motivation to keep going. But I'm brand new at this, April. I've only done 6 jobs, but in those 6 jobs, I mean, I'll never go back to a regular 9 to 5 now after seeing, what I mean, what my account looks like after, doing my work. But yeah, it was a struggle in the beginning for me, took a while to get like the confidence that I have now with it.
yeah, well, that's a lot of it, and just getting that work experience, right? So you can start to get the testimonials, and that social proof is there, and then you can kind of just grow from there. And it's good to name drop. It's good to not be desperate. Like, people can see that, you know. Um, but yeah, but being an entrepreneur, it's insane because you know the corporate world might tell you, oh, based on your education or based on your experience, this is all you're worth. But I use the example of people, like, to be a teacher. Like, you could be on a platform like Skool like this and be making $10,000-$20,000 a month teaching groups of kids from all over the world, still doing what you love, but you don't have to make 40 grand a year doing it either. You can make 10 times that if you want to. You just got to think outside the box.
Jordan,
So,
I said in the chat that you're inspiring. I just want to say congratulations. Hearing your story is exciting because I'm hoping to have your story in a few months.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, it was rough in the beginning. I mean, I was always calling, asking questions. Now I've kind of just been really busy, which is good. So I haven't really been able to participate as much as I like in the program. But yeah, there was probably about a 2-month period where I was like, I think I'm just gonna give my friend all his money back and just, go back and get a job. And I was this close that, like, probably like 2 days away from just saying, forget it. And then, I got the call and that motivated me. But You know, it's a journey, I'll tell you. You know, because I learned, for me, like, you have to be dedicated, and you're gonna get so many no's. And David, the David, I'll have to say, the one thing that helped me is when you told me go out and try to get 50 no's. And then I started doing that instead of yeses. I felt so much better at the end. Like, oh, I got a yes, but it doesn't matter. I still got, 5 more no's to go today. Like that little small thing you said to me kind of like is how I think about it. When I go out
Yeah,
today,
it
it's
changes
like,
your
no, I'm like,
mindset, right? Yeah,
yeah,
it's interesting. I heard of it from just some random freaking YouTube video, some short that some guy did years ago, and it just kind of it made me think. It's like that's true. Like I'm always trying to get a yes. What if I say, hey, I can go home and have a beer once I get 50 no's today? Then you're not bad. You're not upset when you hit them. But
yeah. David, what are you trying to do? David C, what are you trying to do?
Well, that has kind of changed similarly to when I first spoke with David. Initially, I want to start I actually started the LLC already called Firefly Drones LLC. And initially I wanted to just get into aerial entertainment with the massive, 200, 500, 1,000 drone light shows and everything. But that's kind of difficult to get into because it requires a lot of capital in the beginning. So I have now going for some other vertical industries in the drone industry with lower hanging fruit, like the real estate market. And once I start generating some revenue from some of those lower hanging fruit, I'm also applying for the VR&E program. I'm a disabled vet, so I'm applying for this program. And from my initial plan, where I needed like $250,000, I have completely redone my business plan so that it's capped at $50,000, which would be the most that the VR&E program would be able to do. So I'm hoping to launch from the lower hanging fruit to the aerial light show with the VR&E program, and then hoping after maybe a year of building some revenue and a track record to get an SBA loan for more to go bigger. And eventually I want to get over 1,000 drones and offer the really big light shows. And now this is a whole new thing because now my plan is to have multiple businesses. So while that's my focus to that I'm trying to achieve within a few years, I'm going to have these other businesses that I'm going to have other people kind of taking over for me, like the real estate business, for example, or stuff like that. So
I always say too, in the beginning, it's very important. I mean, the thing that kind of kept me in track, and I wish I did more of in the beginning before I started, was really like narrowing down my business plan. Because I made a lot of mistakes because I always went, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. Like when you're thinking for your business, I mean, the best advice I can give is your business plan should look like a dictionary. Like I have my safety rules in my dictionary. I should have had that in the beginning. I have, the proper way to do a scan, step by step by step. So like I could give it to anybody here and go, this is how you use the equipment to do this exact scan. So I would say like, I don't know what your business plan is like now, but turn your business plan kind of into a manual on how to run it. So if you ever forget, you can always just go, let's go to my business. I don't know if that's what the business plan is for, but manual or whatever, that really helps you keep you on track for your business
were
too.
you ever in the
As I
military?
was building it, I was figuring it out.
Were you ever in the military, Jordan?
Yeah, I did 10 years in the Marine Corps.
So you created your standard operating procedure.
Yep. Literally do it just like that. And it will help you and save you so much time. Because I always say, if you look at the school program, the biggest thing that shocked me was how much of a secretary you are going to be. You are going to be a secretary. You are going to be doing your hours, your own payroll. You're going to be sending out the emails, receiving the emails, your logo. You're your own HR. Like there's so much that you have to do. And if you don't plan, it's gonna hit you like a ton of bricks. You're gonna be like I sat down and was like, I don't even know what I'm doing at this point. Like you have to make sure, like now as you're building your business and you have the time, that should be like, okay, how do I, what the drone you have, how high do I fly? If it's raining, what do I do? If it's cloudy, what do I do? How many pictures it sounds crazy, but how many pictures per house am I going to take? How many of the front? How many of the side? How many of the back? You want to get as detailed as possible. so you don't ever have to ask, what do I need to do? Like, I wish I can go back and redo that. It'd make things so much easier. My SOPs are even how I answer the phone and leave voicemails. I have a script for leaving voicemails. I have a script for leaving them for foremen. I have a script for leaving them for site supervisors. Like, and I broke it down for each person. So when I get on the phone, I can just literally pull it up and just read word for word. Like it sounds crazy, but when you
it doesn't sound crazy at all.
Well,
Actually,
Jordan, I got to tell you, I love talking or hearing from you because you're boosting my confidence minute by minute because I could answer every question you
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's inspiring. I've had a business before, and what I'm doing is I've learned how not to do a lot of things, and that's what I'm focusing on this time. And one of the things I failed at before is trying to do everything myself and not having a team or outsourcing anything. And that's one of the huge things I'm focusing on. Even though I just have this instinct where I want to do everything myself, I got to get out of that.
Yeah. No, you have to value your time, right? And if you can hire someone to do something and it takes them an hour and you can pay them $10 or $20 and it's going to take you 4 hours to do, well, unless you value your time at $5 an hour, you're better off subbing that out. Like, I would rather, work, if I can work, to make money to pay someone to do something that I suck at anyway. Like, there's no sense in understand what they're doing, but doesn't mean you have to master it. You don't have to be a master of anything.
Right.
And that was one of Henry Ford's famous quotes. Like, I just surround myself with the best and the smartest people, so I don't have to be. Right. It's kind of funny. Like, when you hit the ground running, you really didn't have much of a plan. And this isn't a slide on you at all. And I'm glad that you did it this way, because you were like, hey, I got my first sale. How do I send a proposal? Hey, I sent the proposal. I got the job. How do I send an invoice? It was actually good that you did it that way, because you might have stressed yourself out too much to be like, oh my God, look at all the stuff I have to do, and then not done sales until you got all that stuff done first. Sometimes you're better off in business just figuring it out as you go.
I remember asking you that. I was like, wait, how do I even ask them for money? I was like, never did this before. I think it happened too quick, but now it's like, and I'm still learning new stuff every day. I'm far from, someone asked me for my, like I said, my safeties now in my plan, but the company was like, we need your safety plan before you even come on site. And I just remember going, oh yeah, I'll get that right over to you. And I had to go and look at what a safety plan is, how to present it. And I'm like, oh, why didn't no one tell me about this before? There's so much Googling how to start a business. They don't tell you really anything. If you Google it, you really have to just get in there and learn, how to write a proposal. Proposal is 99% of my work. And, now I'm lucky that I have a standard that I can go, doesn't matter what job you want. My proposal is 99% done. I just plug your information in. So,
yeah. And that's awesome. And that's funny. The part where you start to streamline, you start to figure out what services are better, what different pay methods are they using? What can you accept, just to speed the process up. So you can you're not spending as much time on the admin stuff, and you're doing more of the stuff that actually makes the money. So that's awesome. And I mean, the other piece, and what you might not even realize that you're doing, you're building scalability into your business right now. You're building it to a point where you could take on someone and hire someone. So as you start to make revenue, you might say, you know what, I might be ready for a second piece of equipment. And now that you have all your SOPs in place, it would be fairly easy to train somebody alongside with you for a couple jobs, and then give them the equipment and have them start doing other jobs. Yeah, your margins would shrink a little bit because you're paying somebody else, but now you're doubling, how much work you can get done. And that's scalable. And honestly, you're even building right now a model that would almost be considered like a franchise model, right? If you can build this to scale, you can teach other people that with 20 grand, you can start a business, right? Or if you can even finance 20 grand, like $2,000 down, you can start this business that could be a 6-figure business for you. And here's exactly how you do it. Here's the game plan. Here's the SOPs. Here's the invoicing. Here's the software stack you need. And literally you can have a cookie cutter thing ready to go to sell to somebody, to start a business from the ground up, doing what you do in California, where you're never going to be anyway, right?
It's funny you said California, because I got offered to do a job in Vallejo. and they offered to fly, but I was like, I can't, because I'm in school right now too. And I was like, I can't do it. They were like, oh, we need you for 3 days. And I'm like, as good as the money would have been, I'm like, it's just too far right now. I'm like, no, thank you. But you're right. I mean, with the scalability, I mean, but the thing I'm focusing on now is to get, every month, it was 2 jobs, but I'm getting that is now 4 jobs a month. If I can get to 4 jobs a month, I'll be comfortable. I can work on the scaling. And then 8 jobs a month is probably when I look to hire somebody because, you know, I want to be able to sit at home and make money. That's the goal. The goal is to make money and work less because now I do everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're building a business that is scalable. Like, the skills that the person has it's a teachable skill. They just need the equipment and the time and the training, right? You don't need somebody with a PhD to do it, right? You just need someone that's willing to show up on time and do the work and that's somewhat tech savvy and yeah, and can grow. And then you can like have your own like partners. Like one of my business partners, he built a commercial cleaning business basically around him just doing all the back end admin stuff, setting up the sales, setting up them for supplies and stuff like that, and then letting them run their own business. And he turned it into like a mini franchise, even though it's not franchise, where he just gets a percent of their sales now, but they run it like it's their own business. So he doesn't deal with the headaches. He doesn't deal with as many as the customer complaints or the day-to-day work. He doesn't do the scheduling. He just deals with the back end crap. And now that business, I mean, he could easily sell it for 7+ figures right now.
Jordan,
And he works like 10 hours a week or 10 hours a month. Maybe he doesn't work much in it at all. He works less than I do.
if you do like David has suggested, and you get to the point where you're training other people to do that, not only you get paid for them, you're also becoming the expert and the go-to person, and then you can rise all what you're asking because then your services are in demand because you're the person that teaches everybody else.
yeah, it's funny you said that because probably in all of New England, there's probably between 25 and 30 people who know how to do my job. And I know probably all of them. I don't want to say everybody, but I know a good majority because the stuff's so new. There's only 2 places that even make the equipment. One's in Nashville and the other one's in Japan. It's like a really small industry, so it's still growing. It's soon gonna be a requirement, kind of like how DigSafe is, because of a lot of accidents that are happening from them cutting stuff without scanning. So I'm trying to build now, get in good with companies, but teaching classes was another thing I thought about doing as well.
Yeah.
But that's once I get a good market share because I don't want to teach like a big construction company how to do my job because then I won't have a job.
Right.
They'll just have their own their own guys. So, but that's later on down the line when I'm like, I'll probably go teach a class somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah. But again, look at those as opportunities because those are different potential revenue streams. And they may or may not, like, again, there's going to be enough work out there for everybody unless more people enter this market. But it's so niche, it keeps a lot of people away because it's so small, right? It's perfect for, solo entrepreneurs or small businesses or something like that. But the big guys, it's just a piece of what they do. They're not focusing on it, right? They might have a guy that does it, but that's it. But you could be really competitive to steal that talent from them. Again, because you know what it's like to be, working in the field, doing something like that. You could easily be like, hey, dude, I could give you 3 jobs, 4 jobs a month doing this. And here's your split. It wouldn't be much to steal somebody. And that's not a bad thing either, by the way. So I'm all for that.
Especially the insurance is huge because I feel like me and my insurance agent are like this because every job I have to do, they have to make different corrections and change it, and it's
Wow.
interesting. But yeah, no, you're right with that.
Yeah. And in the Bail team, if you just typed in BAIL in that search bar, it's in module 5 in the Boots to Business courses right there. So all that information's in there, but yeah, it goes even deeper than that. There's like in each category, there's literally like 5 or 6 subcategories of people that you really should have in your corner, or at least have access to. Again, it doesn't have to be somebody on your team. It doesn't have to be somebody on your board of directors or an actual partnership, but at least have access to somebody that knows that stuff. Would definitely help out. Like I use the example that one of my buddies from the Army runs a CPA firm. And every year or so, I take him out to lunch just to pick his brain a little bit. So again, it cost me like $40 for lunch, but the knowledge I get from him is invaluable. Like he saved me tens of thousands of dollars in taxes just talking to him. So it's well worth it to me. And we get to catch up and have a beer. Like it's not the end of the world.
See, I think we should modify that from bail to bailed and add a D on there for David.
No, David's not going to be working forever. As you're looking at next year, as you mentioned, your business plan's kind of changing, look to next year. Like, what are your goals next year? What are you going to change, either with yourself, whether it's your processes or, your softwares or just your pricing model or, where you're going to go. But, try to kind of start to set your goals for next year already. Because a business plan is something, I mean, it's good that you say you use it like an SOP, but it is used as something to keep you on a path, right? So if you're saying that, hey, here's my goal, here's my projections, here's my financials, here's what I want to hit for revenue, it keeps you honest, right? And, are you saying what you say you were going to do? And is it working out the way you thought it was going to work out? And if it's not, figure out why, and is it something that you need to change? Again, because sometimes you might have assumptions that your expenses are going to be a certain amount, but then as you get these jobs or something like that, they might have additional requirements for insurance or bail bonds or something like that, and you'd be like, oh shoot, I didn't really factor that in there. So, and then maybe there's other opportunity too, like you have your core business, right? Is there any ancillary things that you could offer? Whether it's, one other different type of tooling or something else that you can offer them while you're already in front of them. Because being able to upsell someone on something or cross-sell them to another service while you're already in front of them, like they already have your W-9 form, they already have you set up as a vendor, you're already there doing the work. If you could find an opportunity, that you could do something, I don't know what that is in your industry, but, just think a little bit, maybe there's something else you could do too while you got them there.
There's a piece of equipment in my industry, and it actually shows in 3D what you scan. So instead of me drawing on the concrete, I can just put like a square over it, and I could show you in like a 3D thing. So it'll show like 2 inches down the actual bar, the actual size of the bar. Like if it's electricity, that equipment's more. And I already talked to my buddy who who's funding this, and he's like, he offered to give me the money now, but I'm like, no, not yet. I don't have enough customers to justify it, but that's going to be later on. When I worked for, the company before I started my own, that just 3Ding, because it takes more time, because, I have to go into the software. I have to play with a bunch of stuff to make the image and allow you to, flip it and move it and everything like that. But it would be like 3 times the cost. Some people would want it. Engineers love it. The foreman on the ground wouldn't, but when you talk to the higher up, they're like, oh yeah, because then they could put it in a presentation and show, so that's one thing that I've already been looking at.
Yeah. And again, but 3 times the cost of a service to them isn't like to have a huge excavator on site for a day.
Yeah.
Costs way more than that. So
the bucket,
Yeah. But no, I mean, that's awesome. So, I mean, start to look at opportunities, like maybe not buy one new, right? But start to look for someone that's looking to offload a used one. Or is there a possibility where you could get access to one, like rent one? Like actually, David, we talked about this one time, right? Where, if you get an opportunity where it required more drones than you currently have, there's
leasing.
Yeah, you can lease. There's leasing opportunities out there. So again, if you could quickly get access to one, offer it as a service. And then if they say yes, then just go lease it for the day, use it, do the upcharge, bring it back. The margins in that would be killer if it's something that you can lease. I don't know if there's extra equipment that is out there right now, or form a partnership with someone like one of these other guys that you say, these other 20 guys, like if they run their own small business and they do have one of these, to be like, hey, dude, I'll tell you what, I don't want to step on your toes. We're in the same industry, but here's an opportunity. If I find one with a 3D, can I use your equipment for it? And I'll split the profits with you. And they might be like, yeah, sure. If you already got the job, why not? Maybe. I don't know if it's going to happen, but these are things that I always keep my eye open for. These kind of joint partnerships where it's mutually beneficial, where it's really just a win-win for people. The guy I was talking to yesterday, the bakery, he has all this extra bread, and I'm like, why don't you partner with like food trucks or something? Like, people are already selling sandwiches, and they're just buying cheap generic commercial bread from Costco or whatever. How nice would it be to have fresh, locally made bread, authentic, like Portuguese style bread that they could use with their sandwich? It would give them a differentiating, competitive advantage against other food trucks because they're using that. And I'm like, just find opportunities where it makes sense for both of you. And you're just throwing them away anyway. You got extra. Like, why not? Let them sell some for you. Little things like that, So